Greetings, taxable assets, or should I say, collateral damage. Welcome to the Departamento Analytica. I am Senior Auditor Valarius Krauss. Sit down and do not touch the furniture. It is worth more than your life insurance policy.
Yes, sir. Processing the intake forms now, Senior Auditor. Greetings, citizens. I am the Scribe. I have the civilian summary prepared for cross-reference.
Civilian summary.
Yeah.
You make it sound so official, Scribe. Listen closely, citizens. A recent audit of your engagement records regarding this transmission shows a significant deficit in your spiritual tithe. As of this moment, you have been placed on a mandatory payment plan.
Mandatory, sir.
Your debt is to be settled in likes and subscribes immediately. I am indifferent to how you secure these funds, even if it means recruiting a friend via the share button to meet your quota. Failure to comply will result in an audit of your browsing history. And we both know what we will find there. Now, open the ledger. Let's see how deep this movement deficit goes.
Right away, sir. We have two conflicting reports on the desk today. On the left, from the civilian contractor, the Real Friends newsletter. It's quite colorful. The tone is very welcoming.
It is crayon drawings disguised as data analysis. Warp Friends. The name alone warrants an exterminatus. Look at this tone, Scribe.
Yeah.
Welcome back, friends. Things are finally taking shape. It's cloying. It is civilian begging. It reeks of toxic optimism and Patreon solicitation.
They do seem, happy about the data, sir. They frame the current state of the galaxy as a time of opportunity.
Happiness is a rounding error, Scribe. It biases the data. Contrast the civilian drivel with the document on the right side of the desk, the internal audit, the forensic audit of the Warhammer 40,000 competitive meta. This is what reality looks like. And the reality, citizens, is that the current competitive meta is financially insolvent.
Insolvent, sir. But that implies a complete lack of resources. The Warp Friends report suggests a bustling economy of battles.
Bankrupt. Destitute. We are looking at a data slate that is a mess of volatility. We have statistics yo-yoing like a servitor with a short circuit. We have rapid inflation of rules. We have assets that are depreciating faster than a guardsman's life expectancy in a Tyranid swarm.
But the civilian report says things are taking shape. Surely that counts for something.
The only shape things are taking is the shape of a disaster, Scribe. We're here to conduct a forensic audit of this mess. We are going to expose the monopolies, the Ponzi schemes, and the toxic assets that these civilians call armies. Now, let's begin with the macro analysis. Read me the population census. How much biomass walked into the grinder this week?
Yes, Senior Auditor. According to the Warp Friends report, for the week of January 26th, there were 953 players.
953 taxable entities. Go on.
They played a total of 5,439 games. And if we look at the cumulative slate total, that brings us to 3,260 players across 63 tournaments.
Stop. Just stop. 5,439 games. Do you know what I hear? When you say that number, I hear the sound of productivity dying. I hear the sound of thousands of hours that could have been spent manufacturing artillery shells wasted on rolling dice.
The audit report notes that the data collection confidence is 98.4%, sir. That is remarkably high accuracy.
98.4%. You know what that means, don't you?
Yeah.
It means the other 1.6% of the player base likely perished before they could submit their scores. A statistical anomaly attributable to the weakness of the flesh. But look at the audit report, Scribe. Look at the note on the yo-yoing population.
Yes, sir. It says, the yo-yoing of specific faction populations indicates a highly reactive player base.
Reactive. That is a polite way of saying disloyal. These players are not commanders loyal to a faction. They are rats. Rats fleeing a sinking ship for a slightly newer, slightly shinier sinking ship.
Is it not just strategic adaptation, sir?
It's cowardice. They see a win rate drop by 1 percentage point, and they liquidate their assets, sell their collections, and buy the next meta hotness. It is consumerism disguised as strategy. It is disgusting.
It does keep the economy moving, sir. The manufactorums must be pleased.
It keeps the plastic forges moving. It does nothing for the stability of the sector. Now, let's look at where these rats are scurrying. Who is holding the monopoly this week? Read the top tier.
According to the Warp Friends data, coming in at number 1 is the Necrons. They have a 56.3% win rate this week.
56.3%.
Yes.
Necrons, of course. Living metal privileges. They don't have to pay for healthcare, so they can afford to win.
The Warp Friends report says they're starting to pull away from the pack a little bit, and credits it too. These new detachments are really starting to pay off.
Pulling away from the pack. Listen to that analysis. It has the depth of a puddle in a hive city sump. He thinks it's just new detachments. He thinks it's luck. Open the audit report to Section 3. Tell me about the breadth versus depth theory.
Ah, yes, the breadth theory. But first, sir, for the benefit of the citizens who may not be fully certified in the lexicon of detachment, is effectively the organizational doctrine an army chooses, correct? It determines the special rules and strategies available to them for that battle.
Correct, Scribe. Think of a detachment as a business portfolio. It is the set of investments you bring to the table. Most armies, most factions in this galaxy are lucky to have one functional portfolio. One way to play that doesn't result in immediate bankruptcy. If that one way gets regulated and nerfed, they are destitute. But the Necrons, read the list of their active portfolios from the audit.
The audit analysis states that Necrons aren't just winning, they're committing market manipulation across 4 different portfolios. They have high play rates and win rates in Pantheon of Woe, Awakened Dynasty, Knoptek Court, and Cursed Legion.
Four successful portfolios. This isn't one lucky detachment. This is a systemic monopoly. The Necrons have diversified their assets. If the market crashes on Awakened Dynasty, they just shift their capital to Pantheon of Woe. It's insider trading, Scribe. It's blatant market manipulation.
The audit also mentions the stat check liability, specifically the Cetan Shard asset class. Warp Friends mentions these are powerful units, but the audit seems angry about them.
Angry? I am not angry, Scribe. I'm fiscally offended. The Cetan are the ultimate tax shelter.
Explain the math to the listener. Why is the Cetan an issue of fiscal irresponsibility?
Well, sir, looking at the datasheet, it combines a 4+ invulnerable save with halve damage.
Let's unpack that for the layperson. An invulnerable save means that no matter how powerful the incoming weaponry is, no matter how much armor penetration capital you spend, the target has a fixed probability, a coin flip, to simply ignore it.
And the halve damage. That is the insult to the injury, even if you win the coin flip. Even if you bypass the invulnerable save. The damage you inflict is cut in half. Do you understand the economics of that? You spend resources points, command points, actual mental effort to inflict damage. And the Necron player, with a wave of his metallic hand, declares a 50% tax cut on his own suffering. It is a shelter that mid-tier armies cannot penetrate. They fire their weapons, and the damage simply evaporates. It's written off.
So Warp Friends credits the new detachment, sir, what you're saying.
I am saying Warp Friends is looking at the paint job on the car while I'm looking at the engine block. The new detachments are just the paperwork. The monopoly is built on the durability of the datasheets. The Necrons have cornered the market on not dying. And in a universe of infinite war, not dying is the most valuable currency there is.
That makes a horrifying amount of sense, sir. It essentially invalidates the opponent's investment in heavy weaponry.
Precisely. It turns their assets into liabilities. Now, let's move down the ladder to the deceptive middle. Read me the stats on the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar.
Yes, sir. The Scribe from Warp Friends. He seems quite optimistic about them. He says the Drukharis look balanced. They have a 51.7% win rate for the slate average. That's right, in the Goldilocks zone, isn't it? A 51% suggests a fair fight.
Lanced. Goldilocks Zone. Scribe, you gloss-brained optimist. You look at a 51% and you see health. I look at a 51% and I see a crime being covered up.
A crime, sir. But surely an average win rate is the goal of the Departmentum Unitorum's balance team.
It's a Ponzi scheme. The Drukharis are running a classic Ponzi scheme. Look at the depth theory in the audit report. Break down the spectacle of spite detachment versus the rest of their index.
Let me see. The audit report says the spectacle of spite detachment has a 57.9% win rate.
Nearly 58%. That's a massive return on investment. That's higher than the Necron average. Now tell me about the other detachment.
Oh my. Every other Drukhari detachment is listed here as bankrupt. Under 45% win rate. Some are barely breaking 30%.
Exactly. Bankrupt. The Cabalite Cartel. Insolvent. Real Space Raiders. Liquidated. The entire faction is a sham, Scribe. It's one successful criminal, the spectacle of spite carrying the dead weight of the entire family. Warp Friends sees a healthy 51% average and claps his hands. Oh, look, the Dark Eldar are fine. But if you audit the books, you see that if you take away the spectacle, the entire faction collapses into the basement.
So the average is misleading because it blends the high performers with the failures.
It's a statistical lie. It is like saying a billionaire and a starving pauper have an average wealth of $500 million. It does not reflect the reality of the experience. It's a fabrication designed to instill a false sense of security in the market.
The comparison chart says they're similar to the World Eaters in that regard.
Yes. The World Eaters, another one-trick pony. But at least the world leaders have the decency to be mediocre about it. They're settling into a 47% win rate. They are a failing business that refuses to close its doors. But the Drukhari, they are lying to the shareholders. They are presenting a face of stability while their internal economy is propped up by a single, overperforming asset. It is fraudulent.
I suppose, if everyone plays Spectacle of Spite, the win rate stays up for the faction as a whole.
Until the nerf bat comes, Scribe. Until the regulators step in. And when they tax the Spectacle of Spite, the Drukhari players will be left with nothing. It is a bubble. And bubbles always burst.
Oh.
Oh, no?
What now? What is it?
I tore the page, sir. The parchment. It's just very brittle.
Brittle. It's standard issue administratum parchment. It is supposed to last for 10,000 years.
Aye.
This is what I have to work with. You see this, listener. You see the conditions under which I toil. The parchment tears if you look at it wrong. The ink pots are filled with sludge that I suspect is recycled from the latrines. And this recaf...
Sir, please. Your blood pressure. This isn't recaf. This is recycled engine coolant from a Lehman Russ. I can taste the promethium. They expect me to audit the logistical failures of an entire galaxy, and they cannot even supply me with a beverage that doesn't taste like a chimera's exhaust pipe.
I could try to filter it again, sir. Maybe use a cleaner cloth this time.
Don't bother. The grit adds texture. It reminds me that suffering is the only constant. And you, listener, I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there in your comfortable hab unit, typing your little comment. Oh, Auditor Krauss, you missed a decimal point. Oh, Auditor Krauss, actually the Drukhari rely on skill. Go ahead, type your little correction. Tell me how you would audit a galaxy of infinite war. I'm sure your experience managing a fantasy football league translates perfectly to the logistics of the 41st millennium.
Sir, perhaps we should move on. The comments section frightens me. They're very passionate.
It should frighten you. It is a hive of scum and villainy. But we press on. We are servants of the throne. We do not stop for bad coffee or internet trolls. What is next on the docket? The vanilla hordes.
The Space Marines, sir.
Space Marines. The Adeptus Astartes. The poster boys. The middle management of the galaxy.
Warp Friends has their representation stats here. Space Marines are number one at 7.7% of the meta.
7.7%. Nearly 8% of every battlefield is covered in power armor. They are everywhere, like a fungus. Or middle managers. They're usually incompetent, they lack creativity, but they are simply too big to fail.
Well, they have a 53.8% win rate this week, sir. Well, that's quite good.
Yeah.
That suggests that perhaps the middle management is actually doing its job.
It's misleading. Again, you look at the top line number, you must drill down. You must audit. Look at the outlier in the audit report. Which detachment is actually doing the work?
Let's check. Blades of Ultramar. It has a good grief, a 65.3% win rate.
65.3%. While the rest of the Space Marine chapters, the Salamanders, the Raven Guard, the generic Gladius task forces are filing paperwork and cleaning their bolters, the Blades of Ultramar are out there committing hostile takeovers.
Why are they so successful, sir? What makes them different from the standard Space Marine stock?
Read the analysis. Durable Victrix Honor Guard.
Assets that refuse to depreciate.
Exactly. You buy a Victrix Honor Guard, and it stays on the table. It holds the objective. It refuses to die. It is a fixed asset. Unlike a standard tactical Marine, which is a consumable, you use it once, it shoots, it dies, you throw it away. The Victrix Guard is an investment.
But Warp Friends groups them all together as Space Marines.
Which is why Warp Friends is civilian garbage. The audit reveals the truth. The Space Marine win rate is an average of the Blades of Ultramar, who are performing at a god-tier level, and everyone else who are barely competent. If you remove the Blades from the equation, the Space Marine win rate would plummet. They are being carried by a specific branch of the office that actually knows how to use Excel.
That seems rather unfair to the other chapters.
Fairness is not a metric we track, Scribe, only efficiency. Yeah. And right now, the Blades of Ultramar are the only ones turning a profit. Everyone else is just occupying space.
Speaking of efficiency versus skill, sir, the next section is the Thousand Suns.
The Sorcerers, the Dustbins. What does the civilian say?
Warp Friends notes that Thousand Suns are dragging the win rate down with struggling players. They have a 52% win rate, but he says players are struggling. He seems to imply the army is difficult to pilot.
Dragging the win rate down. He blames the army. He blames the rules. He looks for any excuse other than the obvious one.
But the audit report.
The audit report identifies the true culprit, the human error. Look at the X1 rate.
The X1 rate. For the benefit of the listener, that is the percentage of players who went undefeated or only lost one game in a tournament. For Thousand Sun, it is 28%.
28%. That is incredibly high. That is top tier. That is comparable to the Necrons. So we have an army where nearly a third of the players are dominating the tournament scene, and yet the overall win rate is only 52%. What does that tell you, Scribe?
That the players who aren't in that top 28% are doing very badly.
They are failing. It is the skill gap. In the hands of a master, someone who actually reads the instruction manual, someone who understands the arcane ledger of Cabal points, the Thousand Suns are a hostile takeover. They are unstoppable. They can manipulate the dice themselves, but in the hands of a novice.
Liquidation sale.
A fire sale. Everything must go. They put their models on the table, they forget their rituals, they miscalculate their Cabal points, and they get wiped out. The army isn't the problem. The managers are the problem.
So if a listener is struggling with Thousand Suns,
Then the problem exists between the chair and the table. I imply, with a high degree of statistical certainty, that if you are losing with Thousand Suns, it is because you are intellectually insolvent. You do not have the capital to run this business. Go play something simpler, like orcs or checkers.
that's quite harsh, sir.
The truth is harsh. The audit is harsh. Now, take me to the bottom. Take me to the basement.
Winless Eight, sir.
The roll call of shame.
I have the stats here for Imperial agents. They are at 20% win rate.
Stop. Do not read the numbers. Numbers imply life. Numbers imply fluctuation. 20% is not a statistic. It's a rigor mortis reading. Read the obituary. Who are the Winless Eight?
According to the audit report, these are factions with 0 tournament wins in 4 weeks. The list is Imperial agents, Imperial Knights, Chaos Space Marines, Black Templars, Grey Knights, Leagues of Votan, Chaos Knights, and Tyranids.
Tyranids. Wait, check the Warp Friends report. What do the civilians say about the bugs?
Let me check. Ward Friends claim Tyranids had a win.
A win. He lied, or he's incompetent. The audit report marks them as winless.
Perhaps he counted a casual game, or maybe he cooked the books. Maybe he counted a 3-game RTT as a major tournament.
He is cooking the books to make the bugs look viable. He's trying to inflate the value of a toxic asset. The Tyranids are crashing. They are a monster mash army in a meta that is designed to kill monsters. Their anti-tank is keyword locked. They are bringing claws to a railgun fight. It's a systemic failure.
And the Imperial Knights, sir. You mentioned them specifically in the margin notes.
The Knights, 40% win rate, and 0 wins. Can you imagine? An army of giant war machines, and they can't secure a single first-place trophy.
Warp Friend says, the nerfs were too harsh.
For once, the civilian is accidentally correct. Imperial Knights are heavy machinery rusting in a yard. They have been regulated into obsolescence. The towering rule changes. The bondsman shift nerfs. It was a regulatory crackdown. The Departamento Mutatorum looked at the Knights and said, you are having too much fun. We are going to tax your movement. We are going to tax your overwatch. And now, they are scrap metal.
Toxic assets, the report calls all 8 of them.
Indeed. If you own Imperial Knights right now, you are holding a bag of debt. You cannot win, you cannot hide, you just stand there and depreciate until your opponent tables you. It is tragic, in a financial sense.
It seems like a lot of armies are struggling, sir. The disparity between the haves, like the Necrons, and the have-nots in the Winless Eight it's stark.
Because the market is flooded. Move to the next section. Detachment forensics. The rules bloat.
Yes, sir. Section 9. The civilian scribe reads the list of top new detachments. Pantheon of Woe, Monka, Star Shatter.
The bloat. Inflation. Do you know how many new detachments were released in the January window?
The report says 8 new detachments in 30 days.
8. 8 new portfolios of rules in 1 month. It is inflationary rules spiraling. How is an honest auditor supposed to keep track? The ink isn't even dry on the first datasheet before they release a balanced data slate to correct the errata of the chapter approved. It's a bureaucracy of madness.
Let's look at the Pantheon of Woe for Necrons again, sir. The audit deep dive mentions a specific rule. Cosmic distortion.
Ah, yes. The mechanics of the monopoly. Explain the cost, Scribe.
It creates a 6-inch aura of armor penetration improvement, but you can extend it.
And 9 inches. But at what cost?
It says 3 mortal wounds.
3 mortal wounds. For context, listeners, mortal wounds bypass all saves. They are direct damage to the soul. To extend the bureaucratic zone of influence by 3 inches, the Necron player voluntarily destroys his own unit.
It sounds painful.
It is beautiful. Spending life to improve efficiency. Finally, a mechanic I respect. That is how the Departamento works. We spend lives to move paperwork. The Necrons understand the true cost of doing business. You bleed so that your gun shoots better. That is fiscal responsibility.
And what about the Tau? The
And
Monka detachment.
the killing blow, a 63.6% win rate.
That's very high. Higher even than the Necron average for any single detachment.
It is the only thing keeping the Tau solvency afloat. But look at the analysis. The only way Tau can compete against high toughness is this specific detachment.
So without Monka.
Without Monka, the Tau index is scrap metal. It's a technological startup that went bust, the Kroot, worthless, the retaliation cadre, risky. But Monka gives them the lethal hits. It gives them the assault weapons, allows them to play the game. Again, we see the trend. The army isn't good. The detachment is good. We aren't playing Warhammer 40,000 anymore, Scribe. We are playing Warhammer. Select the correct submenu.
It does seem very complicated and unforgiving if you make the wrong choice.
It's a labyrinth. A labyrinth of rules designed to make you buy more books, more cards, more plastic.
Speaking of plastic, we're nearing the end of the shift, sir. The candles are burning low.
953 players.
Sir.
953 souls. They packed their little soldiers into foam cases this weekend. They drove their ground cars to repurposed manufactorum halls. They ate overpriced, nutrient-paced sandwiches. 56% of the time, victory went to the Necrons, to ancient, soulless machines who won their war against mortality eons ago. They don't need the validation of a tournament win, Scribe. Their victory is inevitable, etched in the slow decay of stars. And yet the players flock to them, seeking safety, seeking that 4+ invulnerable save against the harsh reality of failure.
It is a logical survival strategy in a hostile environment.
Perhaps. But I find myself thinking about the Winless Eight, that Tyranid player, setting up his little gaunts, knowing he lacks the anti-tank liquidity to pierce the armored shell of the current meta. The Imperial Knight player watching his glorious towering god machines get dismantled by a shard of a long-dead star that costs half the points. Are they fools, Scribe, or are they the only ones left with any courage, fighting a battle they are mathematically guaranteed to lose against a market rigged by cosmic distortion?
That is a philosophical question, sir, beyond the scope of the audit.
In a galaxy of rampant inflation, Scribe, hope is the most expensive currency of all, and right now the exchange rate is catastrophic.
Indeed.
Well, that's enough staring into the fiscal abyss for one shift. We have our own quotas to meet.
The call to action, sir.
The tithe, of course. Listen to me, citizens, for the love of the Empire. Tap that like, hit subscribe. It won't save your soul. That's already mortgaged to the Emperor, and it certainly won't save your win rate against a Necron warrior phalanx. But it might just save your algorithm from total collapse. And in this economy, that's the best deal you're going to get.
Shall I close the ledger for this cycle, sir?
Close it. Dismissed. Pay your tithes, citizens.